Rodric's veins looked as if they might pop out of his skull.
Heavens burn it all! What use are you bandits anyways if you can't even do a kidnapping right?
1,000 pardons, sir. We had no idea that they'd be waiting for us.
I don't need excuses. I need results. Now go, get out of my sight, you smelly heathen.
Please, sir. You haven't paid us yet. I know we botched the job, but a deal is a deal, and the families of the fallen need something for their trouble, at least.
How's this for a deal? You get out of my face, now, and I don't have my grandfather's men murder you and all of your families. Do you understand me, you unwashed hillbilly?
The bandit leader scowled as he slowly nodded and left Rodric's sight.
Perfectly, sir.
Minutes later, Duke Rodric Godricson sat in a red silk nightgown at a table in his private chambers, surrounded by his closest advisers and members of his family. A small flame crackled in the fireplace in a corner of the room, and the Duke seemed more concerned with feeding the fire than anything else. His eyes did not leave this simple task, as he broke small pieces of wood and rhythmically fed them to the growing flames, listening intently to the many words that were spoken all at once. Rodric's fist pounded on the ornate table. As the room grew silent, he spoke as if his loudness somehow made his words more important.
Grandfather, you must listen to me. This Nathan Hayfield boy is openly disrespectful toward our family. He's barely been a high-level noble's son for a month, and he's already walking around the city as if he owns the place. If we don't act soon, who knows who else may seek to test our kindness. I say we teach him a lesson he'll never forget.
Rodric sat impatiently at the far end of the table beside his aunt, Lady Bella Godricson. On the other side of the far end of the table sat Sir Preston and Rodric's brother, Alexander, who patiently waited for their turns to speak. After a few moments of silence, two older men cleared their throats to try to prompt a response. These were the two elders of House Godricson, some of the Duke's closest advisers on all important matters. They sat close to him on the left beside Rodric and Lady Bella. The lead elder eventually spoke.
Your Grace, perhaps your grandson's words deserve some type of clear response?
On the right side of the Duke sat Sir Kyle, the head steward, and his underling, the second steward. As leaders of the Duke's 10,000-strong army, they were also important advisers. Sir Kyle sighed and shook his head.
Silence yourself, head elder. The Duke need not be prodded like an infant for his thoughts. How dare you, sir? I was merely trying to...
The Duke said nothing as he continued breaking firewood and feeding the fire. However, the power behind his snapping of the wood told all of them to calm themselves. They had all long ago figured out the meanings behind the Duke's many eccentricities. Rodric's smile faded as the only sound in the room became the crackling of the fireplace. Initially, he had been both enraged and thrilled with the news that Nathan had refused to attend the Duke's banquet. For him, this was an incredible excuse to encourage his grandfather to directly oppose House Hayfield and vanquish the boy he had grown to despise. Yet for some reason, his grandfather seemed reluctant to agree with him. Instead, the Duke spoke to Rodric's father without raising up his head.
Sir Preston, my son, what do you make of your eldest boy's words? What, in your mind, should we do about this Nathan Hayfield lad?
Sir Preston sighed as he felt his sister and his eldest son's eyes glare at him.
Truthfully, father, I believe that Nathan Hayfield is a child prodigy, a fierce warrior who might be the strongest in the fiefdom, outside of yourself. He acts as though he's a seasoned veteran, and his mind is sharper than any of the men I've seen who've tried to oppose him. We must not underestimate him, or we may ourselves fall victim to the fate of House Raven.
Bella Godricson scoffed at her brother's words. As she spoke, she ignored everyone in the room but her father.
Daddy, please. I don't care how scared Preston is of him. He's interfering with my marriage to Sir Ian. Can't you just make this little brat go away for me? Don't you wish for your only daughter to be happy?
Sir Preston held his tongue at his sister's venomous words. She'd always been a master manipulator since she was a child, and he saw many of her worst qualities in his eldest son, Rodric. Although he would have loved to argue with his sister, he knew that would lead nowhere. All he could do was sit and grit his teeth as his father pondered what to do. The Duke had often fawned over his daughter, and had accidentally spoiled her rotten as a child, while Sir Preston had sometimes found his father distant and sometimes difficult to deal with. Duke Godricson had not been a cold father per se, but he seemed to only let his emotional guard down when it came to Bella, not Sir Preston. The same was true with Sir Preston's kids. Rodric took after Bella in many ways, and his constant whimpering for attention from his grandfather often meant he got his way, while Alexander hardly ever even held an audience with the Duke. Sir Preston suspected this was partially the reason why Alexander had followed in his older brother's path and became a bully. As Bella's puppy eyes pleaded with her father, Duke Godricson eventually sighed and tossed another log into the flames. He then turned to his house's elders and raised an eyebrow. "Well, noble elders, what do you say about this matter?" The head elder smiled as he cleared his voice. As he spoke, he slowly stroked his long white beard, as if deep in thought. "Your Grace, this Hayfield boy doesn't seem to understand the consequences of his actions. He flaunts your hospitality as if it were a joke. I feel that it would be best for us to suppress his family's rise in power, punish them publicly in some loud way, and tax them heavily, or even strip them of their lands. Perhaps House Lightstone as well. Use them as an example of your might. After that, nobody will question our house's authority, and the rest of the younger generation of Godric's land will fall in line." Rodric's eyes lit up at the head elder's words. He could barely contain his excitement at the thought of publicly doling out punishment on Nathan and his friends. He knew that his word counted perhaps for only 10% of the Duke's consideration. But with the two elders on his side, half of the Duke's closest advisers were urging their leader to side with him. As Duke Godricson pondered the head elder's words, Sir Kyle next addressed the room.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.